over, you silly thing. There you go. Now I got to make sure that everything's working the way I want it to work. After I make sure that it's working at all. I think that's the key. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Glad you could make it. Glad I could make it. Glad it can be made. I have to say a couple things right off the top. News-wise, I think the Bob Menendez being indicted news is fantastic. I think it's a good thing. Goodbye. They discovered this is Menendez's bribery scheme with his wife is right out of the Shokin handbook. I gotta say, I'm for it. I don't know. That's what we're supposed to be, against corruption. That's I think a very important thing to distinguish ourselves as Democrats is like when this stuff goes down. Bob Menendez is a Democratic senator. He's the chairman of the Foreign Services Committee, I believe, and he's been around for a long time. He's very senior. He's been dogged by these kind of charges before, but with good reason. But he's actually gotten indicted finally, and I'm for it. This idea of like circling the wagons in spite of, like the stuff that these people do is just absurd. Like it makes no sense to me. It's one thing if somebody's going after somebody and you know it's a complete farce and whatever. That's one thing. But Menendez and his wife, they found like $100,000 in gold bars, $400,000 in cash. He had cash stuffed in his closet. It was like House of Cards meets Breaking Bad. I was surprised the dude didn't have a car wash just to hide where the cash came from. So goodbye. And again, he'll get his day in court, and I hope so. Bob Menendez, the real Hunter Biden. I would argue that, I would say the real Hunter Biden, honestly, Clarence Thomas. I mean, yachts and trips and money and extravagant stuff, all in exchange for, true influence on a federal level, as opposed to one senator, whose vote is for sale. Bob Menendez is not in the casino film. That's true, but I think it's just very important that, like, if you get involved in that kind of stuff, goodbye. As a Democrat, I don't want you around. I don't want you like messing up everybody else trying to do real work, covering for your sorry ass. It makes no sense. So, anyway, good piece of good news around that. Also, it's nice to be in D.C. when Fred Gutenberg is also in town. He's here. He was at the White House today, pushing the new committee. I think it's a committee, the working group / thing on fighting gun violence. I think it's a great thing. I think it will continue to be a great thing. There you go. Now, couple things. Tomorrow's show will be regular. And then I'm doing the fundraiser, and then we'll see if Summer and I are stuck in D.C. for any length of time, because there's a hurricane rolling our way, or a tropical storm. Is it a tropical storm? Yeah, I think it's a big, nasty storm, and it's headed our way, and it's very exciting. And so, yeah. Any storm alerts over there? Oh, yes, lots of them. So we will see. Fingers crossed, we'll make it. Also, I have to, okay, let me show you what got me all riled up today. And I'm sorry if the camera's a little twitchy. I don't know why it's a good looking camera, but I think it just overwhelms the processors or something like that. Anyways, so if there's some artifacting, just pretend it's, I don't know, max headroom stuff. By the way, hello chat room. I can't pop to you because of the screen available to me, but I see you and hello. And Patricia, thank you so much for sharing the show out. Let me see, where is this? Go away, this thing. There you go. And then I can see you guys if I stretch this part out. I think, there we go. Thanks for the likes. Joy, thank you for being a member for 27 months. I appreciate that. Debbie Doos, thank you for being a member for 13 months. Good morning all from Australia. It's good to see you. Fantastic. I'm glad you could be here. I mean it. So lots to cover today. But when we were right before the show, because it's so odd doing the show at this time because I'm on East Coast time, as opposed to when I'm sort of used to doing it, and it being sort of like pre-dinner time when I normally do the show and post-dinner time out here. Very curious because we're downstairs and we're eating in the hotel restaurant, and because it's DC, up on the screens around us that they've got the television there. It's kind of like if you go to a sports bar, but it's DC. They have C-SPAN on, among other things, and the news talking about this stuff. And it was nice to see, by the way, that CNN had like 4 screens on this thing, and Fox had 1, and they were doing the 5, and the 5 was bitching about John Fetterman's clothes. Like, I'm like, is there a few things more beautiful than watching the 5 on Fox have to go like snipe hunting for crap to bitch about? It is all tan suit all the time over there right now, and I'm for it. Uh-oh, they've discovered me. It's the deep state. They're coming for me. Oh no. Needless to say, I'm not particularly concerned that about the 5 these days, because they really don't. I don't know where. How in the hell did they ever have? I don't know. Like the fact that that's what they're relegated. That was their number 2 talking point in the show. If that's where they have to talk with all the stuff that's going on with the government shutdown looming, and maybe this is why, and I'll take you there presently, if I may, ladies and gentlemen, if we can. This is C-SPAN. This is a pause at C-SPAN. This is a 4.5-hour meeting between the Democrats and Republicans about the Rules Committee meeting together to talk about what these budgetary spending should be and how they should actually go about setting it up. Like planning for it. Bring my camera in. Hello, how are you? Sit down. And I don't know why my camera looks Dutch angled a little. All right. But let's just check out Chip Roy for 1 second if we can. Hold on. Let's see if we can run this.
I believe y'all would not put up a fight over this administration giving Social Security numbers to illegals. Not only is that unconstitutional, that's
not happening.
American people. Now the good news, y'all are getting so much heat among.
Also, they don't get Social Security numbers in the classic sense. They get tax ID numbers that are effectively run through the Social Security system because the idea is that eventually they're on a road to citizenship. And if they pay into the tax system, eventually that will be credited towards them. If they don't end up being citizens, it doesn't matter. But Chip Roy's about to speak, and there are few human beings dumber than anyone in these meetings than Chip Roy. But I think you want to watch what he sounds like, because I haven't pre-watched this particular segment. That was Lauren Boebert passing by. Hold on 1 second. I think they jump over to that's Ballard, and then this dude again. Here we go. Here's Chip Roy, and Gates comes in. That's Matt Gaetz coming in. So Boebert and Gates and stuff come in and say their piece about weaponization, blah, blah, blah.
Appreciate y'all being here and for the work, as my friend from Kentucky pointed out, in getting these bills produced. I will echo the sentiment that I wish we were doing this in June or July. I think we
Gates' face is just aggravating, but he's just kind of like, why aren't we doing this? Okay. Yeah, you should have been doing this in June or July. You know why you didn't? Because your leadership is shit, and you guys don't know how to run anything, and you don't want to do anything. So why would you do the hard part? Remember how the whole thing of the Republicans and what they were pushing was that we're not going to do this big omnibus bill. We're going to break everything up. We're going to do it piece by piece. And then they didn't do any of the work to do the piece by piece bills. And now they're getting near the end of the year where they're basically their only option will be a CR of all of them, which is effectively 12 an omnibus of continuing resolutions. It's just again, the GOP mantra: government can't do anything right, elect me and I'll prove it.
Been in here, and I think we should have stayed here in August, but we're here, and hopefully we can do our work this week. And
also, when Gates isn't the center of attention, watch how twitchy he is.
And get where we need to go for the betterment of the people that we represent. My friend from Florida A quick question. Our colleague from Colorado was inquiring about, cuts to our engagement in Africa, and one of the points is about China's engagement there. Would the gentleman agree that China's engagement worldwide has not necessarily resulted in the highest quality products? In fact, the Wall Street Journal recently had a expose and a report of the extent to which...
Oh, look out. Mr. China's going to eat our lunch, and Biden's bought out by China is starting to have to admit that tofu dreg exists.
Projects are falling apart. They're, in the words of the Wall Street Journal, their belt and road infrastructure projects are plagued with construction flaws and so forth. In other words, a race to beat China for beating China's sake and their engagement abroad does not necessarily mean that we need to appropriate dollars to dump into projects to do that. Rather, we should just do our work at the right level with the right quality and do our thing, and then, essentially kind of let China hang itself there a little bit. You follow me? That's just something I read in the journal just recently.
No, actually, that is the experience a lot of countries have with China, because they go in not to be helpful. They go in to not even make a profit. They go in there to raid and to just pull out. So you're absolutely right, and which is why.
By the way, Boebert sitting right behind him. She comes up in a little bit. Hold on, we'll get past this point. Let's get some statements from these folks. Okay, it's like statements. So they're lining up for their next check. Let me see if I can just jump ahead, because that's the Homeland Security briefing. There we go. Okay, this is where it just gets douchey real quick.
If I could, let me... Representative Moreland of Guam,
We'll get you forward. Hold on.
All right. So we'll start with my friend from Louisiana. Mr. Higgins, you're recognized for any amendment you care to address. And just, again, for the record, we'll go through all your testimony and then open it up for question after that.
For the committee, if I may, they are germane to each other as they are germane to the underlying bill.
That's germane to Mr. Jackson, Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. They are quite Tito to the question that lays out before us this day. But no one, and I do mean no one, Michael's like anyone else.
I've been a strong voice against government mandates regarding oppression of individual rights and freedoms, including during the COVID era, mask mandates, and what came to be called.
I'm a hero for everybody who believes that, the safest road through a pandemic is to cough as much open phlegm into the mouth of your neighbor as possible, which is why I, of course, supported our much ballyhooed and attacked state senator for his relationship with an underage girl he was found messing about with. I was in my oppression of him. He was simply trying to save her from the jab with his own jab, I suppose.
Vaccination passport requirements.
Mm-hmm.
I have two amendments before the committee.
Amendment number one is the never have another 2020 on our calendar ever, which I recognize is mathematically impossible, so that should be easy to pass.
Each defunds the ability of any enacted funding within this bill.
Well said. You guys got that right? Cool.
To enforce the or create or to create or enforce mask mandates.
Jesus Christ! These guys want to shut down the government because we don't want another mask mandate. Like, okay, dude. Let it go. There are none right now. Like, this is so lazy and stupid. Oops! Why'd the sound go down? I don't understand. Here you go.
Within the legitimate practice.
What the heck? Don't know if you're crazy, man.
Of the underlying bill. The error that...
Where was I? Anyways, this guy blah, blah, blah for a little while. And then they get over to Gates, I think. There's a lot of people coming and going from the room while he does this. here comes our favorite beach douche bro, Matt Gaetz.
For including in the defense appropriations rule that was prior considered amendments that I had offered on Ukraine and one that I know the ranking member and I care about regarding cluster bombs. I'm principally here to
I'm basically here to throw a monkey wrench into any progress that might have been made in my absence.
testify in favor of this rule. I think it is a good thing for the House of Representatives and a good thing for the country to consider these appropriations measures separately and to do so with robust amendment. During the speaker contest in January, it was a major issue whether or not the House of Representatives would continue to govern by omnibus and continuing resolution. And there were several of us who demanded from Speaker McCarthy concessions that we would not do that anymore. We would,
and then we refused to do any of the work that would have made acting in that way possible, and therefore we're stuck at the end of the year with no budget.
take one up or down vote on all of these disparate agencies of government to fund them or not fund them. And when we fought for those things, despite a whole lot of initial criticism, it was not the praise that we received for seeking this methodology of governing and appropriating was one that was even championed by some of the more left-leaning members of the Democratic caucus. I recall the gentlelady from New York, Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, going on Rachel Maddow's program and saying, hey, what these Freedom Caucus and Freedom Caucus aligned members are fighting for would be helpful to our deliberative process. And so we endeavor.
Basically, because she would love to vote the Department of Defense out of existence is the theory. Dude, you're not making a lot of friends in that room if you're like, even AOC likes what I want to do, but only because she wants to get rid of the opposite things that I want to get rid of. But we want to get rid of things wholesale without having to debate them. So
that work today. But there can be no denying that Mr. Neguse made very valid points in criticizing this Republican majority for having not done so sooner. And we own that failure, and now we have to break the fever.
Hold on. We totally own that, bro. Bro, we own that. We're not... We get it, okay? We didn't do our homework, okay? Let's move on, okay? We've got 8 days till the whole government shuts down, and maybe 11. I don't know. I stopped counting when they said counting would be involved. So...
To kick the habit of governing by omnibus and continuing resolution. This government is about to run $2 trillion annual deficits. We are $33 trillion in debt. Both parties have contributed to that substantially, and I believe the reason...
Yeah, but technically the Republicans have, considering $7 trillion of it happened under Trump, but I think more of the weight's on them. We own that. We own that. Guys, we own that.
That regardless of which party is controlling the place, we seem to always gravitate to these omnibus bills and continuing resolutions is because we don't have the courage to actually cut spending. And the discussions that we just witnessed on the Homeland Security bill, on the State and Foreign Ops bill, those are precisely what our constituents expect of us. So,
yes, he wants to cut. That's what they expect of us. Please cut Homeland Security. That's what it is. Like, you know what? Having a closed border is so expensive. You know what's really expensive? Customs and Border Patrol. Can you imagine how much money we spend on immigration enforcement every year? I mean, you just slice that right out and just, wait, where's everybody going?
Know that this is but a step and there's a great deal of work to do. While I know that it was a bad sign that Speaker McCarthy at 3 o'clock on a Thursday functionally sent people home, I am heartened that you are here. I am heartened that my colleagues from across the Republican conference are here to work through these measures, and I believe the rule that you are about to vote on and hopefully pass provides us the greatest platform to do deliberative governing and to reduce spending in a way that is consistent with our values and the reality of divided government that we currently live in. I thank the committee for its indulgence, and I yield back.
I appreciate it. In the interest...
Thanks for coming down here. Now, one thing. Now, you do realize that you came down here because you're afraid that we're wasting taxpayer dollars and taxpayer time. You're believing that. You think that's what's happening. And you do realize that you just spent about 4 minutes wasting taxpayer dollars and taxpayer time. You know that, right?
just trying to move things along. I see Ms. Sparks is in the audience.
Apparently, my my phone has just decided to play Def Leppard in the middle of it. It had enough.
I think we could probably squeeze you in. I'll come back and catch you.
You know, well, I could probably squeeze you in, just like Gates said to that 17-year-old high on ecstasy, allegedly. Allegedly.
But then you could join the panel and we could question everybody at one time. Well, we get you a chair too. You need to.
Oh, they're bringing Sparks, not Sparks, but Sparks, the Russian woman from Indiana.
Stay up here.
We might have
because-
to be one
Yeah,
fewer photographer.
we have to keep you at the table. So I know it's a little snug. Forgive me for that, but thank you very much.
I don't care. Okay, now let's get to that's Victoria Sparks, and here comes Boebert. Now, some people are saying she's grasping at straws, and and telling big honking lies. But I disagree.
To each and every one of you who are here staying in Washington, D.C. Over the weekend, even after many members have gone back to their districts for various reasons, namely being they were told they could. But
Thanks. That's great. That's really what I thought. They left because they had good reason, like they're loud.
here to ensure that we are all working together to avoid a government shutdown.
That's right. That's why we're here. I want to make sure I'm here to avoid a government shutdown. Now, that could have been avoided earlier this year.
That is the last thing that I want. I am here to serve my constituents in Colorado's 3rd District. I am here to fight for our veterans, for our service members. I want to ensure that agencies are functioning, that paychecks are issued, and that...
But at the same time, I have to hold the entire process hostage to a couple of things on my wish list, so I guess fuck everybody.
I'm able to do my job to better serve them back at home.
So you're resigning, I take it. I see. Thank you.
And that's why I'm here this weekend. There's plenty of events that all of us could have run off.
Yes, I was going to go see that Beetlejuice musical. I was a little distracted during the first time I saw it. What? There's events we could have gone to? What the hell are you talking about? It's a new musical that's coming out. It's called Squeeze My Honkers Till I Scream. It's based on the book.
Whether they be official or unofficial, but...
Personal. Very personal.
Here to do the hard work of...
Don't. Just chat room. Stop it. Sorry, what was she saying?
Whether they be official or unofficial, but we're here to do the hard work.
Stop it. What'd I tell you? Quit it.
Of governing, and unfortunately, we have.
By the way, when she says the hard work of governing, she means governing. She literally just means like reading and stuff. This is the hard part of governing, where you actually have to do stuff.
Did many months, and now we are here at this critical deadline of government funding running out, and us.
Yes, they all know why they're in the room, dum-dum.
Brink of a shutdown, but this shows a lot of good faith, us being here, dedicated, talking about this rule. My colleagues and I, we're fighting to fund the government. We're fighting to uphold the promises that we made to the American people back in January. We took that speaker's race very, very seriously.
Okay, their entire plan, this entire idea that they themselves were going to guarantee that the budget would be broken up into these segments and all this stuff was a terrible plan from the start. It was a stupid promise to make to their constituents and to themselves, and now they are realizing why. That's all. That's all this is. This is why they caused this problem.
Because of a person, but because of the policy, because of the procedure, we wanted to ensure that we were making fundamental changes to the way Congress operates.
Yeah, but with like a 5-vote margin that is now down to 4. No, nobody elected you to do, like, in mass, to do fundamental changes when you have a hair's breadth change. This is the same warning I would give Democrats in the Senate. If you have a 1-vote margin, you can't go mandate time. And if you are a Democratic voter and you didn't show up or whatever, and they should have had 60 votes in the House or in the Senate, and they only have 50 or 51, you can't scream mandate. If you're like, I don't know if I'll vote next time.
Back home, people don't speak favorably of Congress.
And by Congress, I mean me, because I'm in Congress. And when they yell at me on the street, they're really yelling at you. I'm just in the way.
That we do things here, and we wanted to make sure that we had an impact to redirecting the House of Representatives back to the original intent that our founders had, that we would actually do the work.
That we'd actually set gun laws based on 1 bullet, wadding and shot, and you had to load after every. Never mind.
Of the people, rather than just having these straight up and down votes where you have to pick and choose what's worse in the bill, what's better in the bill, to actually a final vote on passage or not. I was very excited that the days of having to pass a bill to find out what was in it were gone. We've implemented 72 hours to actually read a bill before we pass it, and we promised the American people.
Yeah, but you didn't. She putting it up for 72 hours isn't for the American people necessarily to read it. They can, and it's a good thing if they do. But it's so that all the members of the House and Senate have the time to read the whole thing, or their staffers do, and she clearly isn't.
That we would no longer govern by omnibus bills. And now we're at the brink of a continuing resolution, which is very much the same.
Ladies and gentlemen, what I tell you, it's almost as if they wanted to rewrite the function without changing their participation in that function at all.
And we promised them 12 individual single subject bills to fund the federal government.
When you had no ability to make that promise and keep it, you had no understanding of what it would take to make that promise and keep it, you just forced it through as a talking point. And now you're in talking point hell, and it's your ass.
To prevent the continuation of swampy status quo that we all see each and every day up here. Commitments were made earlier this year to rein in reckless spending and business as usual in Washington, D.C., and we expect those commitments to be honored.
Yeah, but you have to do the upfront work, which is also like where, if you're going to take away the funding, you're going to revamp the funding or whatever, you've got to do it in a conscientious way so that you're not just pulling the rug out from under people you don't like and throwing, cushion under your buddies, which is exactly what they were thinking they would be able to do.
There are thousands of unauthorized programs that continue to be funded without oversight, congressional hearings, or even a reauthorization vote. This is absolutely unacceptable to have thousands of unauthorized programs that we are.
If they're unauthorized, then they wouldn't exist in the first place. They're authorized. Like congressional authorization, because they didn't one-to-one them because they were in larger bills and they became part of that, and now they exist under that direct funding. What she wants is a line item veto on how each department behaves, instead of just oversight into them in general and finding a consensus. This is so stupid. I don't know where to even start.
Continuing to fund without even having a discussion of how we are spending the American tax dollar. The American people deserve better than the previous majority's way of governing. The Nancy Pelosi.
The previous majority's way of governing. The whole thing where they got their job done and early.
Biden bloated the budget and now we're seeking to continue that same budget. Some want this continuing resolution past September 30th, and I believe that that's completely unacceptable, especially now that Republicans have the majority here in the House. The American
Not for long.
people voted for this majority to do things
No, they didn't. You got some redistricting wins, dummy.
differently and fund the government in a new way that is not weaponized against them.
Can you just use weaponized I guess so. It's the word of the day. It's like, say the magic word and win $100.
Voted against the omnibus bill back in December. So why would any one of my colleagues on my side of the aisle vote to continue that past September?
Because you haven't done the other 12 bills and because it's really your only chance. And if you don't do it, then the government shuts down and you're a stupid person full of stupidness and brimming with stupidity. And it's driving us all crazy how fucking stupid you are. I think that would be, that's my truncated answer.
Before the August district work week, the House passed just one of the 12 appropriations bills to
It's almost like you guys suck.
fund the government. And we were promised that progress would be made over the 6 weeks that we were all back in district working with, hearing from, and serving our constituents.
How are you working with, hearing from, and servicing your constituents? I mean, I saw how one of your constituents was getting served. And I appreciate, I didn't realize is there a reach around committee
And that a plan would be in place when we got back. But instead, when we came back, we welcomed $33 trillion in debt. We're looking at spending $7 trillion and only receiving $5 trillion.
And we just came out of a pandemic, stupid. I mean, it's like bitching about like your house bills after your roof almost caved in after a tornado and you had to have it rebuilt. And you're like, oh my God, our house payment went up like $300. And you're like, yeah, it's that or not have a roof, stupid. Oh, okay.
$1 billion annual deficit that we were all just very distraught over.
I was distraught. Excellent. Distraught.
4 boys, I got a grandchildren. It is immoral for us to have a deficit.
Hold on. Did you said I have a grandchildren?
I'm a mom of 4 boys. I got a grandchildren.
Yeah, she's got a grandchildren. I didn't realize she had Siamese twins. Grandchildren. It's the only way that can happen. I don't know where they're conjoined. It definitely isn't at the head.
Moral for us to have a deficit.
Did she say moral or oral? Doesn't matter.
This high. We have got to get the spending under control. And while there are disagreements on both sides of the aisle, and we're stuck at a crossroads here, there is a path forward. I'm so proud of the work that my colleagues have done. We have moderate Republicans and the most conservative Republicans working together to actually pass these bills.
Are they? They're working together to actually pass these bills that they haven't written and haven't passed? We have the moderate and the conservative Republicans. They're so different.
And the House should not go home this week once we begin voting without voting on these single subject bills that reduce bloated federal spending and show the American people that the Republicans, the majority that they voted for, can govern. It's not just a campaign slogan, but we actually get here, roll up our sleeves, and do the work that we promised the American.
I don't know if you know this, but with all the swamp nonsense that they talk about, you don't have to roll up your sleeves. You can keep your sleeves rolled down. You're just writing stuff. Simmer down. The idea that she feels that like she's sitting there with a visor and a old-fashioned crank calculator working her way through this stuff and laboring over charts and graphs and expenditures and interest payments on bond issuance around. It's nonsense. Her staff isn't even rolling their sleeves up. Jesus.
That we would do. And now is absolutely not the time to quit. We cannot risk a government shutdown.
Yes, it is exactly the time to quit. You do not have time to actually craft these bills in a way that they will actually pass. So yes, you're going to have to pass a continuing resolution. Dum-dum.
And this is why we're all here to do this job.
She wants to keep her head down and do the hard work. Simmer. big Steph fan. What's wrong with you?
We need to pay our brave service members. This is of the utmost importance.
Okay, this is the part they're getting yelled at about. This is just so you know. This is from the last threats about the government closures that we've dealt with, and repeatedly having to deal with these idiots pulling the stunt. People are very aware of the reality that it stops payment to veterans and it stops like Social Security checks don't go out and that kind of stuff. And before they could pretend they didn't know or try to lay it off on somebody else or any of that stuff, now they're really aware of it. And especially in districts where they're surrounded by military areas, which is how these, like the extreme maggots, the only way they get elected is if they're surrounded by military and the sort of the faux machismo of the entire town around the idea. Not that they give a shit about the people who are actually serving on the base, but they view themselves like, I got a district full of veterans and full of and they want to, pretend they care about it until it comes time to pay their medical bills or take good care of them. And they know this is bad. It's a horrible look, and they're catching a lot of shit about it.
I've heard it mentioned in this committee today. They will be required to work in the event of a shutdown, and
right.
The same service member.
She won't, but she's not working now.
Have been subject to wokening and weakening of our.
Wokening and weakening. That's both the wokening. That's what I call the great wokening of 2023.
Military under this current regime, and.
I'm sorry, what regime would that be? The regime of Tommy Tuberville?
Joe Biden, Secretary Lloyd Austin, they're suffering already. And to withhold their pay...
Yes, they're not going to get paid for all the diversity, inclusion, equity, and inclusion training that they're going to have to sit through while not learning how to shoot guns anymore because basket weaving.
Of that is also something that is very immoral and not our best. So
not our best. Even Matt Gaetz is like, the fuck is this bitch saying?
I want to do this by passing the DOD bill that will fund the military to win.
Right. Can we just slice off this one part and bring that to the floor so that we can blow off the rest of the government bills, which is why, by the way, one of the reasons why an omnibus bill happened. So let's be abundantly clear. There are Republicans who believe that the only thing the government has to actually fund is military and homeland security. Secure the border and have plenty of military, and everybody else is on their own. Just underneath the cloche of the American dream, everybody else is just, if you can't make it, screw you. And so every other program they would love to just let die on the vine. And one of the reasons why the omnibus came about is because you get exactly this kind of impasse where people are like, I'm not going to vote for you to pass the military bill by itself when I know full well you're only doing that so that you can not vote on the other things and let their funding run out. You're holding those things hostage. No. So I'm not going to help you fund the military if you're not going to help me fund the other stuff. That's what this is about. She and Gates and these idiots want to pass this military funding thing so they can just hold their nose and let everything else die on the vine.
Every battle that we face in our upcoming future as
There's nothing so immediate as our upcoming future. All of your future is upcoming. It's just a matter of degree, I think.
Greatest nation. They need to have preparedness, military readiness.
Yes, they need to have preparedness. Scouts honor.
Not just more focus on celebrating Pride Month. We also need to pay our...
The military is too gay for Bobert.
Brave border security officers. These Border Patrol officers, if you heard...
Who have stopped doing their job since Joe Biden became president, apparently.
As you've heard today, they have been demoralized. I've talked to these Border Patrol...
Really? Is that why they're not doing it anymore? They're just not stopping anybody because they're demoralized?
Who I've asked them, what can I do? What can I do to help you? And
the answers I got back were frankly offensive. Most of them just wanted to go see a musical with me.
They tell me we don't necessarily need more personnel because they're just processing agents at that point. We don't need more infrastructure at this moment. We don't even need more resources at this moment.
We need to be anti-demoralized,
The policy that allows us to do our job. Right now,
which has nothing to do with the appropriations process. None. So keep funding them at the level that they're funding them. And again, which ones are you talking to, and what do they mean by doing their job? If they would just have like one day where we could just open fire.
A president that is ignoring the rule of law, our nation's immigration laws, and he is impacting the very men and women who risk their lives each and every day to secure our country.
Word salad.
But they are there to stop the complete and total invasion taking place at the southern border, and that is infiltrating all of our states, making every state a border state, making this an issue in...
Yes, North Dakota is a border state. It's Canadians, though, mostly, and they're the worst, the most polite illegal immigrants you'll ever meet.
One of our homes. In the last 30 months, Joe Biden and Secretary Mayorkas have been in control of the southern border. There have been 6.9 million CBP encounters and 1.7 million known gotaways. Let's do...
Huh. So they're getting most of them. All right, good.
Passing a strong DHS funding bill with strong policy writers to secure the border. And I applaud my colleague, Congressman Chip Roy's comments saying that this will get done. In funding the federal government, we will provide a solution to securing this.
No. Sorry, dum-dum. You can allocate the money and the funds for the stuff, but you cannot dictate policy like that money gets clawed back if you don't spend it on what we want you to spend it on. That's not how the separation of powers works at all. As a matter of fact, that's unconstitutional. That's like saying we'll only give this money if the Supreme Court finds it constitutional, whether it is or not, and the administration does what we tell them to do, even though they are the administrative state. No, not how it works. Not at all. Sorry. Nope. Is money being spent well, or is it being spent, is there enough, or is there too much being spent? And you can make that argument, but you have to pass that argument amongst everybody else. That's where you are. You're not a bunch of little presidents. It's not how it works.
Border to stopping or at least tremendously slowing down this flow of fentanyl, the tens of thousands of children that have gone missing, the deaths that have taken place, the innocent lives.
Wait, hang on. What tens of thousands of children that have gone missing? What are you talking about? That's just randomly, she's just going to drop that shit in there and just move on?
That have been lost because of these reckless policies. And also in the midst of a government shutdown, we cannot risk even the closure of our national parks, pausing passport and visa applications, grant applications.
Yes, the gentlelady from Colorado is concerned about parks being closed because of funds that go into her state, and that's it's so refreshing that these people don't behave like normal politicians.
Verifications, mortgage approvals, new veteran benefits, and Social Security and Medicare.
Right. Yeah, that's why you've had omnibus bills. That's why shit has to go through this process. It's why we've gotten to where we were. You're not going to reinvent the wheel, dum-dum.
So thank you again for putting in this work. I ask you to continue to put in this work so we can avoid a government shutdown. We can get in this together, work together, put aside differences, and find a real solution.
Can we put aside differences with this regime that is just allowing an invasion at our southern border? Yeah, sure. Yeah, it sounds like you're really building some bridges there, popsicle stick.
The people who are counting on us and are losing faith in us back home, let's prove to them that we have their best interests at heart, that we aren't up here wasting time, that we care about their future.
I'm never going to get these minutes back, am I? They're gone forever.
Their children and their children's children's future as
and their children's children's children and their children's 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 children. Loretta.
Let's pass all 12 appropriations bills individually, single subject, through the People's House before September 30th. And we... Yeah, you heard that right. It is, you got 8 days for 12 appropriations bills that would have to pass with amendments.
where hours are set aside for the amendment process on each one of them. Okay, dum-dum. Yeah. That is not in even the remote realm of possibility. This is just goofy.
Single subject through the People's House before September 30th.
Jesus Christ. Like,
We can keep the government open. We can.
Let's just do it. Hey guys, let's just do it. I know we weren't going to do it, but let's do it. Now let's do it. Let's do it. Anybody want to do it? I want to do it. Let's do it.
Do that work that we were elected to do. I'm here to do it. My colleagues are here to do it, and
I love to do it. I just did it, and I'm going to do it again. You'd know you'd like to do it.
To stand with you all today.
It's good to be a king.
For the American people doing this work. Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for the time, and I yield.
Thank you. Gentleman from Arizona, Mr.
All right. Then it goes to Andy Biggs, and it's just an absurdity. Like, this whole thing is like it's embarrassing. It's just so gross. And it just goes on like that. It's like them patting themselves on the back for wasting all this time. Thank you so much, Dockley Van Owen, for the super chat. Payday, hey. Social Security checks go out regardless. It's true. Thanks so much. By the way, like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Patreon.com/HalSparks, etc., etc., etc. So, there has been some other big news. It's sort of an ongoing thing. See if I'm about to show you a clip, and I have not pre-watched this clip, but I've been keeping up on the details of the what would be the subject of this clip. And what I want you to notice right out of the gate is what I would say is the tremendous lack of production value between this clip and the last clip we saw on this particular subject. And you'll know exactly what I mean in just a couple of seconds. It's Hal Sparks, Megaworldwide. Join me, won't you? There he is. Ladies and gentlemen, Russell Brand, guilty until proven innocent in a court of law, but also having a rough time in the court of public opinion, as many do, which is also, by the way, Cosby, Weinstein, you could argue Epstein, up until they were actually busted by police. One of the things that moved that along was the fact that the veneer of untouchable that they had for years started to fade or break away, and people felt like they could go after these people. Now, you'll notice he's not in his fake studio. He's back in front of the real window. It's actually nighttime. The outside lights are not turned on the log pile, which is some sort of code, I'm sure. And there's a lot of shadows over his face, if you'll notice, just like what I'm doing right here, because I'm just in a hotel room with a little lamp on me, that when you have proper lighting, as it were, in your own home where he had his studio for a long time, you don't have that kind of stuff. This looks like he set this up himself, but just barely. Yeah. So let's see where this goes. It's a very short video, thankfully, and it's from an hour ago, and it just says so ... The last one was called So This Is Happening. So he just shaved off This Is Happening, whatever. This is just weird. I have not watched this, so here we go. Let's jump in.
Hello there, you awakening wonders.
Oh boy. This doesn't sound good right off the top. Hello, awakening wonders. If you're watching this, I've already been dragged away by my ponytail.
Obviously, it's been an extraordinary and distressing week.
Mm-hmm. You know what you should do? There's a meditation course online that I don't know what the guy's name is, but he teaches it, and it's supposed to just like get rid of your stress and like it makes you really, I don't know, look it up after.
Very much for your support and for questioning the information that you've been presented with.
You mean over the course of your entire show?
By now, you're probably aware that the British government have asked big tech platforms to censor our online content.
No, they've asked you to be demonetized. You can still talk for free. That's not censorship. Sorry. That's not the same thing. And also, the terms of service and the agreement on these kind of things, especially in the UK, where you have to, like, for years you had to have a TV license, and there's all sorts of rules about television. They have much more reach in terms of that. Also, it's in England. I don't care.
And that some online platforms have complied with.
Oh, they've complied. Oh. Now, you're watching this right now on YouTube, which means I still have the freedom to say whatever the fuck I want. I just can't make $1.2 million a month doing it, which is basically an attack on my humanity.
Request. What you may not know is that this happens in the context of the Online Safety Bill, which is a piece of UK legislation that
Don't care.
grants sweeping surveillance and censorship powers, and it's a law that has already been passed.
Right. Yeah. Here, real quick. Did this ever occur to you while you were shitting on America and our rules and our openness and all that kind of stuff? And the fact that more than likely YouTube ads run on your station on American accounts but not on UK accounts right now? Hard to say.
I also don't imagine you've heard of the Trusted News Initiative. Now, as is often the case when a word like trusted is used as part of an acronym to describe an unelected body, trust is the line.
You've never been elected to anything. Your producer and you together and your team and whoever you work with at Rumble and whoever the fucking we is you're talking about, you're completely unelected. Let's just say for the record. So stop talking shit about elected versus not elected. I don't know.
Thing you should be offering. The Trusted News Initiative is a collaboration between big tech and legacy media organizations to target, control, choke and shut down independent media organizations.
Huh. And really? So they worked that out together. They put together this bill specifically for that purpose. And then they didn't for years against you. And they only reacted when women came out and said that you had sexually assaulted them. I'm just saying, it sounds like a shit collaboration. And also, why haven't they come for David Icke? Why, how was Alex Jones allowed for years to continue until the Sandy Hook stuff? And in some case, still is. Why are there probably, a dozen other YouTubers and streamers that say the same ridiculous shit you do that are still on the air, still making money? If this is a big, Illuminati deep state level effort, why just you, Russell? Wouldn't it be easier to just take down 5 mini Russells?
Like this one. We'll be talking.
Okay, he's not an independent news organization. He's a fucking blatherer.
About that on our show on Monday on Rumble.
On Rumble, if it still exists. I hope.
Just to give you an idea of what the TNI is, this is a quote from one of their spokespeople. Because the actual real rivalry now is not between the BBC and CNN globally, it's actually between all trusted news providers and digital platforms.
Why is there a ... and a big space between and digital platforms? Did the guy just hesitate when he was typing for so long that the autofill just went, I don't know if this guy actually means what he's saying, just hang out for a second.
It's clear that these organizations collaborate in constructing narratives, whether that's around the war or the pandemic, and of course there are other examples.
I can't think of one right now. Might be that I'm Rapey McRaperson, something like that.
And it's very clear to me that we have to be very, very cautious indeed. That's why I'm asking you to follow me on Rumble.
Please move over to this other organization that's basically run by John Jr. and a bunch of his friends so that I can keep making lots and lots and lots of money. You have to understand, I'm Russell Brand. I'm only worth about $85 million. And being worth this much money is very expensive. So please, help now.
go over to Rumble, join me over there, become a member today, and help me finance my fade into obscurity. That's right. Most people would expect me to fight back against these things, but I find that if I could just blather about it and pretend I'm fighting, it's easy to just take your money and sock it away somewhere. Thank you very much.
We've made a clear commitment to free speech, and Rumble is the primary platform that we will be streaming from.
Because I've got a contract with them anyways, and the only reason I was staying on YouTube is that in our contract they allowed me to air the stuff afterwards and still make some side money off of it. But since I can't do that anymore, I'm going to need to double my audience on Rumble to make it worth my while.
We'll be back this Monday, and as usual,
it's going to be exciting and fun, and I'm going to be full of life. And the first thing I'm going to do is interview some of my victims. Suddenly, when I say it out loud, it sounds like a bad idea, but I don't care.
We'll be talking about deep state and corporate collusion.
Uh-huh. So you won't be talking about, like, sexual assault and, sending a car from the BBC to pick up a 16-year-old and bring her to your house. That won't be brought. That won't be part of the conversation. Well, I mean, at least to this much, you're not even gonna touch on it, as it were.
How ordinary democracy is anathema now. How it's shut down, ignored, and avoided.
No, I'm pretty sure most people vote. When they vote, they want their law enforcement to go after predators and sex offenders, regardless of their status.
Talking about a military-industrial complex.
That's what it is. They're sending black helicopters for him now.
Is able to facilitate and start wars that seem sometimes to be little more than money laundering operations.
What? What are you talking about? Are you talking about like we funded Russia attacking Ukraine so that we could just make money making bombs so that we could just blow them up and land because nobody really cares, and everybody who pretends even to see a victim of this war is just kind of like, nah, but I mean it's the cash really, baby. Yeah.
And that's with all respect to the
No, it isn't.
hundreds of thousands of victims of the numerous ongoing wars.
Okay, bullshit. There's no way to even talk about that. There's no way to have utmost respect for the victims of ongoing wars if you're just going, really, you're just a monopoly. You're like the shoe or the terrier in a monopoly board. You're not really. I mean, the world is just rolling the dice on who you are, and I could tell because of what's happening to me. It's basically the same. You're in a standing over the mass grave of your relatives and friends, and I'm down about 1.5 million in the last 6 months.
World at the moment. We'll be talking about the role of Big Pharma and how Big Pharma have been able to influence government policy around the world and how they've been able to evade due liability and necessary scrutiny. How they've been able to avoid...
Yeah, we're going to talk about how, am I the only person that's pissed off that roofies makes beverages taste salty? Shouldn't that... what am I paying for?
Media investigation that perhaps ought be due them. And of course, we'll be talking about media corruption and censorship.
You're reading this. Media corruption and censorship. Fucko, you're not being censored. You've been off the air. No one's censoring you. You are not being censored. You can say whatever the hell you want. I mean, in England, it's definitely different, but I don't give a shit. If you don't have the right, there's no such thing as censorship. You can't take away a right that someone doesn't have. And in a monarchy, you don't have that. So I don't want to hear shit about censorship when you're in England in your fucking multi-million-dollar house, bitching about how the United States works. When you're still able to be on Google over here, you just can't on YouTube. You just can't make money off of it.
So please follow me on Rumble.
Nope.
Because that's the
only way I'm going to make lots of money on you sappy suckers as I Danny Masterson myself into obscurity.
Way that we can keep our voice.
Our voice. I see. Oh, see. I'm sorry. That guy's my fault. It's not. I thought it was his voice. It's not. It's our voice. I was not concerned until I am now, obviously, because it's we're losing our voice.
Go to rb.rumble.com to support me directly and keep me and our channel independent.
What happens if we don't? You won't be independent? What are you going to do? Don't force me to take money from Chevron and run ads, which I do on YouTube, which is why I've lost a bunch of money, because they can't run ads on me anymore.
And I need your support now more than ever.
Because you never needed it? Because you were always a multimillionaire before you even started this? What the fuck are you talking about? Why wasn't this show always free? Why? I mean, it's called Stay Free in the first fucking place. Why are you even trying to raise money doing this? Why isn't this just a fucking hobby?
And more than I ever imagined I would. So follow me.
Oh, yeah. I never thought I'd need this, but no one wants to be around me since I've lost my agent and my PR person, and I've become a pariah because all the things that people have whispered about me for years have now become shouts.
Now, more than ever, and more than I ever imagined I would. So follow me, support our channel if you can, if it's with
Our. Follow me, but support our channel. Follow me, support our channel. Jesus Christ. Fucking hell. I'm half surprised he hasn't moved to Waco.
your means. But more important than any of that.
More important than any of that is hands up, don't shoot. I'm completely in a panic. I'm doing a hand gesture that says, hey, I didn't do anything. Leave me alone. I didn't even have any idea. My hands aren't on her, officer. I didn't realize she was 15. I'm doing gestures like that. Instead of my inclusive, like, slotted hands, I've got them pulled back. Jesus Christ.
Is that you please, if you can, stay free.
Jesus Christ. First of all, the city doesn't think anybody's free. He thinks we all live in some sort of weird 1984 totalitarian monster society. So the idea that he even jokes about fucking stay free is nonsense. Also, maxi pads. I don't know. No. Whatever. Anyways, secondly, he keeps doing this like, I'll hypnotize him. That's what I'll do. I'm completely fucked. But what I'll do is I'll hypnotize everyone into thinking that I'm just a poor cockney bastard who's not a part of the elite and lives in a fucking monarchy, and is bitching that I don't have the same rights and privileges as I would have in the United States, but can't go back there because they might arrest me on the LA charges, and state to state, that's a real problem. So I can't travel over there right now. So mostly doing shows in the UK. Ticket sales are dwindling a bit. Not completely gone, but look into my eyes. Yeah, look right in there. There you go. Hold on. Look into my eyes. Hey. Yeah, that's right. Oh, I'm not laying my hands on you. I think there's a bad look. It does look a bit like I'm going in for a titty grab, which is not a good thing for a guy like me in a situation like I'm in. But stare into my eyes. What an asshole. If you can. Look how high his elbows are. That's so fucking awkward.
It's very weird hearing.
Yeah, but Summer doesn't know what I'm talking about because she can only hear my side of the conversation. But it's messed up because it is a very apt, chat, back me up on this. It is a very apt description of exactly what this fucker is doing. Yeah. I know you're only 16. I don't care if you're 12. I just want to know what place. Look how, it's one thing to go, if your hands are below your elbows, and I'm no body language expert on this, but I would think you're going, hey, stay free. Even the hand gesture out like this is a little fucked up, but they would be below your shoulders. This with his hands up, it does look like I've got no blood on my hands, officer, or the gun is or the knife is on the ground. It's just creepy. It's just fucking creepy. Look, my hands are clean. It really is. It really is and it's just, the tone is so defeatist and petty and angry at the same time. I don't think he's helping his case at all, and I do not see the next week of shows, I doubt they'll be cutting clips from his bigger live streams. He's just gonna. It would be a mistake to do that because I will chew them to fucking pieces. But his long form, 2-hour shows or whatever, the idea that he's just going to kind of fall back into that as if nothing's happening. What the fuck do you think he's on the phone with Alex Jones all weekend? Jesus, like how did you do it when the Sandy Hook families were after you? Well, I just took a bunch of my B vitamin pills, and I got this one dick pill that makes me not feel anything at all. So I just guzzle those fucking things, and then the whiskey helps. Like, that's, man. I shall be watching as always. Oh, indeed, CSL. Oh, indeed, my friend. Whew. Sarah in the chat says, Summer, we don't know what Hal is talking about. He's being weird. So, anyways, I mean, let's be abundantly clear. Fuck this dude. I didn't like him to start with. So the idea that somehow now we'd be in a situation where he's some sort of like victim and he deserves some sort of, I don't know, like protection from the comeuppance that's coming, and like this just sounds like a young Weinstein trying to weasel his way out of stuff. Ugh, Jesus. All right, let's. I got one more clip for tonight, and then I'm going to. I've got some writing to do actually tonight for my show tomorrow, but this next one involves two of our favorites together again. Now the screen is black for a moment because I've rolled back the video because when it starts, it just starts right at the end or whatever. But Dan Bongholio and Megyn Kelly are about to give us a whole lesson. We've been jumping to conclusions about the Russell Brands of the world and the Alex Jones of the world, and people forget they're human beings, okay? These are human beings. And you forget that they're human beings, okay? And Dan Bongholio once, he's apparently, and I'm not kidding, look at the title of this video. Hold on, let me just get this over here. Look at the title of this video. Dan Bongino opens up about the real Donald Trump. Caring, loyal, and transactional. That's, if anything sums up the idiocy and the inability of Bongholio to understand what fucking words mean. Caring, loyal, and transactional. What the shit? What are you talking about? It's the exact opposite. I scratch your back if you scratch mine, but only if I feel like it, and after you've already scratched my back, and fuck you. But what's in it for me? What do you mean? I already scratched your back. So, it's over. What have you done for me lately? It just happened. I don't care. Oh, God, it's amazing. Like, subscribe, give it a thumbs up. There's a little Cash App thing in the corner, and then it just turned into the Venmo thing. So either way, you can help out the show. We're getting close to our goal. And when I say close, we're about 2K away from our goal of for the new computer. So if you can contribute, that's a great place to do it. Super chats also help. Memberships and subscribing, whatever site you're on, also helps. And spread the word. Let people know about the show. If you can't do any of those things, I love you and thank you for being here. I appreciate you being with me. Time is the greatest gift you can give anybody. So here we go. This is caring, loyal, and transactional. God damn.
I'm telling you, some heavenly intervention. If someone told them to call, I don't know what happened, but my phone rings, which I still had on me for some bizarre reason.
Yeah, I don't even leave. Mostly I don't carry it when I'm cheating on my wife. I always leave my phone at home.
It said unknown on the phone. So you know how it is in the business. Unknown is one of two people. It's Fox or the White House. Like, that's it. Like, no one else comes up unknown. It comes up restricted for regular, but unknown is like, someone, right?
Or caller ID on Bongholio's phone is as bad as his own personal reading comprehension. It wouldn't matter if the name was said there. He wouldn't get it.
So I'm like, oh, this must be Fox or something. So I pick up the phone, And it's Trump.
Oh my God. It's that bad. He's calling Bongholio.
And I mean, you know, Megan, I get it. Like, you've interviewed him. I've interviewed him. You know him. I know him. He's not your standard politician. You know, people
Right. He's no longer a politician, for one, I think.
accuse him of being mercenary and all this other stuff. You form your own opinion. I know a different guy. But it wasn't even that he called me. It was that he was so genuinely interested in making me feel better.
Okay, we don't know why what the lead in up this is, other than maybe this is when he dealt with his cancer diagnosis. Maybe this is way back then, which is when Trump. Here's the thing: Trump would only call somebody that he needed for this kind of thing.
I'm saying, like, it wasn't a perfunctory task. He already understood he had my support. It wasn't something he did. And
yeah, he doesn't have a lot of other people's support, so he can't afford to lose anybody.
I mean, come on. You got people who kiss your ass all the time. They're not really listening to you. They're just either like worshiping you or they're like waiting to talk. And that's like the worst thing ever because nothing's genuine anymore.
And he's only judging her circle and everybody works with her and everybody's around her. And that's how he thinks. And he's projecting that onto everybody around because he's either worshiping her, meaning he finds her physically attractive, or he's waiting to talk himself because he doesn't give a rat fuck what she's actually talking about.
It's the weirdest conversation because he really wanted to know. He's like, how are you doing? I said, not that good. This thing, you see, you're going to get it. You kind of know. There's no crying on this show, just like there's no crying in baseball. He's like, how you feeling? I said, I can't, the story just so gets to me because he was like, how are you doing? And he said, I told him what had happened. He's like, do you need me to make some kind of phone call? He's like, are you going to be okay going in there? I said, no, Mr. President, I'm gonna be all right, man. I said, I'm gonna be all right. But, I said, it really, it just really matters that you did that you called. And it wasn't, and the funny thing is, it wasn't the first time I had spoken to him by any stretch. I mean, he's very open with his, I mean, you can call him anytime. Trump will take your call. You can call him right now on the show.
Right, because he's got like 4 media outlets that will have him on now. He used to have 30.
He'll pick up. It wasn't the first time I talked to him, but it was just that time. I'm telling you, I don't know if some angel tapped him on the shoulder and said, call this guy. And, I'm not some goofy, I don't worship politicians, Trump or anyone else.
Just Trump.
But I wouldn't have got through that. There's no way. And I was in it. My wife said, who was that? I said, you're never going to believe it. It was Trump. And we spent like 5 minutes on the phone, and all he wanted to know.
5 whole minutes. Man, I hope one day to have friends with that kind of depth. 5 whole minutes. When you were, going into the hospital for open heart surgery?
All he wanted to know was how I was doing. And if I was...
And then I said, fine, and he hung up.
And get through this, and if I needed anything. And he said, the minute you're out of there, because you're going to make it through this, because I'm with you, God's with you. He said, I want you to come down from, the White House. And, when people ask me all the time, why are you so loyal to this guy? Well, there's your answer.
Yeah. Because you believe that he has a personal connection with you because he made a 5-minute call because someone on his staff who's more than likely in business with you at Parler or at Rumble said you probably better, he might be sick or something, so you might want to call him. And then he offered to make a call because it's really no effort.
And you have to understand, my loyalty and friendship will never go challenged. But that doesn't mean I don't get to question him on issues, just like he can question me on stuff. That's what true friends are. And this myth out there amongst the anti-Trump crowd that doesn't see this guy through a clear lens. They just don't. They're so blinded by their hatred that, Trump demands fealty or he'll kick you out of his circle is the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Why? Have you ever not given fealty to him?
I've disagreed with Donald Trump on criminal justice reform. I've disagreed with him publicly on my own radio show. I played the clip the other day about abortion and just the other day on my podcast.
Yeah, that's because he just changed his position now.
But that doesn't mean I'm not loyal to who he is personally. But I'm also loyal.
But it doesn't mean he still would make that phone call he made years ago to you again, now that you have questioned him.
To my faith and my politics too, and he understands that. So people say, well, how can you still support him? You know why? Because Donald Trump is transactional. And so
And so am I. And I only am friends with somebody if I can get something out of it, and he's only friends with me if I can get something out of it. And so far, we can both get something out of each other. And I think that's what it's all about.
Times that's used as an insult. In politics, it's the greatest compliment ever. He understands every transaction matters. And I'm sorry to tell you, there's not a single other candidate.
What? Again, this sounds like you're saying that there's something transactional about him calling you when you're sick or when you were going into the hospital. All right, this is just stupid.
A race that's gotten that. He is transactional. When you walk in there, he is a business guy. Is he an avid pro-lifer? Anyone who tells you that's lying to your face. Not a chance. But Donald Trump understands pro-lifers got him elected. And Donald Trump understands that when Leonard Leo and others walked in there and said, we got to get Roe v. Wade out of there, and here's a good idea of judges who may lean in the pro-life direction. Who got it done? He did, while everyone else just talks shit about it. So I don't understand. Like, everybody takes that as a knock. Oh, he doesn't believe it in his heart.
Right.
Okay, so the other politicians in the past that did jack shit about abortion.
It's weird. The other politicians actually didn't agree with that position and didn't do anything about it and didn't give away to the Leonard Leos of the world because they disagreed with Leonard Leo. Instead, Donald Trump went, I need these assholes to vote for me. I don't care what the fuck they get. It's not going to affect me. You think anybody in my family's going to have to travel for an abortion? I got a private plane.
I'm supposed to like them more. I'll take the doer over the talker any day. And transactional to me in politics is a compliment, not an insult.
Well, I think that this story is extraordinary because, and we've had a few people come on and tell these sort of behind the scenes stories about Trump.
Mm-hmm. Stormy Daniels wasn't one of them. Was it none of those? Were any of them girls that were in the Miss Teen USA pageant, where he looked in their mouth to check their teeth like they were a fucking horse?
Whose number I don't have. I want to just know for the record, John, I do not have it, but maybe someday. But he's so demonized to the point where I do worry for his safety. I think he's been so, like the left likes to use the term dehumanized. I feel dehumanized by this. Is there anybody who's been more dehumanized than Donald Trump?
What are you talking about? No. His humanity is affirmed every time somebody calls him a fucking pig. Because it is a metaphor. It is based on the assumption that as a man, he should be able to be better than that. He chooses not to be. That isn't dehumanizing. If somebody calls you a scumbag or those kinds of things, it's under some concept that you have the ability to be other than that. Not being dehumanized. His humanity isn't in question. His character is.
And on the other hand, you got, President Basement, right? Joe Biden, who barely puts himself out there. And when he does, like he's
just except at the UN and of course at, union gatherings and speaking to people all the time, except all the fucking time.
He's there to greet the caskets coming home from Afghanistan. He's checking his watch. But they want us to believe that guy, Uncle Joe, is the empathetic one. He's the sweet one. He's the kind one. He's the avuncular one. And Trump
because to him, if you've been captured, you're still a hero.
Devil. And Trump is ornery, and he's a fighter, and he's controversial.
He's a liar, and he's gross.
He, too, is a man. He's a human. He has a heart. He has a family, as I started this off by saying.
Yeah, but he's got more sociopathic tendencies than anybody that's ever held the office.
The book, this kind of example, does a good job of putting layers on that so people can be reminded it's real. Even though he's very tough and he's a fighter, it doesn't mean...
He's not a fighter. He's a complainer.
He's incapable of being hurt, and God forbid, worse. So we need to...
Jesus Christ. Nobody thinks he's bulletproof, stupid. He only cares about pain when it's his. He's not being dehumanized. He never has been. His failings as a human being are indeed human. Lord almighty.
As you say, pump the brakes, make sure he's protected, and
he's got all the protections. Nobody's gonna fucking kill this guy. I don't want Trump assassinated, stupid. We don't need a bunch of fucking half-ass martyrs running around. I want him to grow old in jail.
The only one.
Good Lord.
Millions of Americans earn and use credit card rewards. A few big box retailers want to take those rewards away.
Wait, these are
what
her
the?
ads?
That's according to the Electronics Payment Coalition, a sponsor of today's episode.
Great. Thanks very much. And I appreciate the George O'Keefe background. We're all very excited down here, I can tell you. Let me finish up tonight, if I can, with you guys, because I adore you. The idea that anybody on my side wants like Trump to be physically harmed is insane. Like, it doesn't mean randos won't say shit. It never has been true. But the vast majority, and anybody sensible, anybody who's like voters and the like, that's not what we're talking about at all. That's not. Nobody's even going anywhere near that. But the illusion that they are is to create, is to castigate other people, to convict them in absentia from charges they never made. And thank you, Daphne, by the way. We were going to hang out with Bob and Kimberly, but they have stuff to do, and so we were going to take them to dinner. We'll do it the next time we're in town, or I'm going to make them come out to LA. But thank you, excellent idea, and thanks for the happy birthday, Roy. Appreciate that. My birthday is on Monday. I will be having a show on Monday, by the way. But more on that later. But I have no interest in Donald Trump being physically harmed. I think the justice that he will get by going to jail at his age, especially, would be plenty. But none of us want him martyred. That's never what this has been about. This is ridiculous. As a matter of fact, I think a lot of us are worried that he'll just keel over because of his shitty exercise and food regimen, and we'll end up having somebody think it was a deep state conspiracy to knock him off before the election. So most of us are praying that he's like happy and healthy until he's indicted, or until he's convicted, rather. But painting the picture that there's like this nefarious scheme on our side that wants him to dehumanize him, to make sure that he's a target or whatever, when it's exactly what the right does about Biden and Hunter and everybody. And I mean, it is not because of left-wing rhetoric or Democratic rhetoric that people have shot up FBI headquarters lately. It is not. FBI agents are not in physical danger because of shit that Democratic politicians and activists have said. Sorry. That's on those guys. That's on Megyn Kelly's side. So, like I said, it's just, yeah. It's grotesque, and it's a way of basically excusing him. It's akin to that whole like, I'm sorry I'm not perfect idea, where you kind of use perfection as the wall against being halfway decent. That's what Megyn Kelly is doing. Like, if you go after him on the level that he deserves to be gone after, that means you want to assassinate him, because it has to be that extreme. Otherwise, they have to confront what he's actually doing and what he's been engaged in, and in a realistic way. And it's fucking gross, quite frankly. So why is she supporting him? Because that's the side of the bread her butter is on. That's it. So hell is the best breeze. No, thank you so much. So anyways, I adore you guys. I will see you tomorrow for the radio show, the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. Wish me luck on getting everybody in on the show for that one. Whew. Not quite sure how we'll make it happen, but we will. Anyways, much love. I will talk to you guys later. And let's see, what button should I push? If I do, what happens if I push this button? Do any of these screens work? None of these work. Okay, hey, they do work. Look at that.